Information paralysis. This is one topic which I thought is much needed in today's times of excessive content available, online content, or too much of digitalization, too much of information. We are living in a times where there's excessive information available, and we are spoiled for choices, and people are like kind of now addicted to this content viewing, and from television we have moved to uh, online on the mobile, especially on YouTube and other platforms, other sources of information available online. So Google. So there is a constant source of stimulation. We've got used to constant distraction, and we need constant stimulation. And if you don't get that constant stimulation, we get restless. So this is how the modification of the society has led to people being drowned into the submerged into the ocean of all kind of information. So it is we are in a submerged in a water which is kind of dirty also. So we have no way of basically making a discernment or discrimination between what's available is good and bad, and the way people kind of produce the content and publish it, they lace it with a lot of use the marketing techniques to sell it. So they create some thumbnails and descriptions in such a way that you feel it looks very lucrative. I won't say attractive, it looks very lucrative and eyeball catching, and it distracts you and it draws your attention, and you end up consuming that information. So what we are doing is we are constantly consuming, but what we are consuming, and there are two problems that one is constant consumption, second is what we are consuming we are not able to decipher it or decode it or understand that it's really good, needed or not needed. So what is happening is there's a lot of unwanted information going inside the brain constantly, and if I say probably 70% of the information which we are taking, allowing it to come, is all crap, and it takes a lot of processing. The brain also needs to process whether to analyze it, because whatever we take has to be analyzed, that is it really correct information, or it is fake, or it is gimmick, or it is something somebody is trying to force feed us, which is not needed and which is not correct also. So there is a lot of information which is coming which is unwanted. So the two problems are excessive content which is being consumed, and it is being constantly consumed. Now that's the situation. Once we know that we are in this situation, what's happening to our brain, what is this information explosion doing? So the word which I found was we are actually going through an information paralysis. Information paralysis is, it's not a term, but this is what is the outcome of all the information which we are consuming constantly, and most of the information is like poison. It is like a digital poison. So because it is not needed, and it's not good, and it is fake, it is not true. Like for example, a lot of people are making, everybody's become a scientist, so people are talking about quantum physics, quantum mechanics, and they use this word quantum, and really what they're doing they also don't know. And all kind of people, like they may be qualified, not very qualified, they may not be a scientist, they may be a young scientist, they may be a young researcher. Anybody is making video, and a lot of people are consuming it, whether knowing it. It looks very interesting. So basically most of the people are looking for gossips. So all this content which is there online, true or not true, good or not good, it's just providing you mental stimulation and food for gossip. So we are in a going through a digital gossip. From physical gossiping, we move to digital gossiping, where we are only consuming one way consuming, and there is no two-way interaction. It is just we are consuming and consuming. We are only receiving. So it's we have become receivers. We have stopped being transmitters. We are becoming a receiver. So when we are a transmitter receiver, there is a lot of processing which is happening, a lot of analysis which is happening. But if we are only we switch off the transmitter, we switch off the processor, we only receive. So we are kind of disabling a major part of the brain, major part of the process functioning of the brain, or the ability of the mind or the brain. So with this constant reception, we are actually not allowing the brain to function properly. We are switching off certain faculties of the brain, because first thing is, when we are receiving too much information, and if the half of the information is not it's not of any value, or it is garbage, or it's a garbage. So we are taking a lot of garbage, and we are forcing our brain to process that garbage information. So when we are making our brain function to process garbage or futile information with a futile outcome, so we are actually dissipating our energy, we are wasting our energy, which is to be conserved or used only when it is needed. So the dissipation which we are doing, the consumption of the energy, the brain processing unnecessarily, is actually heating up the brain. The processor is constantly misutilized for garbage information, and this is something which is not letting the brain rest, not letting the brain being used where it should be used, when it should be used, where it should be used, how it should be used. So it is now controlled by the information explosion, leading to information paralysis or the brain paralysis, the paralysis of the mind. So mental ability will suffer, our cognitive functioning will suffer. We will go through some mental challenges in our life. It will also lead to memory loss, because the brain functioning is definitely impacted and hampered by this unnecessary information which is constantly flowing into the brain. It's like allowing dirty water to flow in the channel. So if you don't stop it, if you don't know what is the source of water, which is it is a dirty source, and we let all kind of sources flow into the channel or into the river. It's like rivers today in India. Rivers are dirty because we are allowing the sewage and the affluent to flow into the river from the industries, who are chemical industries. They're polluting the rivers. The main cause of pollution of river is this industrial pollution. It's you can't imagine if you have to go to some industry which is on near the river bank, and how the rivers are polluted by these industry, chemical industry, and different kind of manufacturing industries. So this is something analogy which I'm giving, which is happening with the brain also. So if you pollute what you need, so obviously it will impact your brain. The brain is going to impact your mind and impact your body, and obviously then you will have many kind of problems, because the brain is needed for certain things, but it is being used for something else. So this is what is happening. Now what is needed is basically away from this unnecessary information, and we don't need so much information. All the information can come without being exposed to any information. If you actually switch off your mobile phone, you switch off all the external digital, just experience that for a few months, you realize that you become de-stressed, you are very calm, and you have all the information which you need, and you don't have to depend on technology for information. Whatever you need in your life, your basics, through your self-inquiry, you can analyze everything. Our brain can process everything through self-inquiry and self-analysis, and that's a approach which has been given in the scriptures also, that you can find all the answers through self-inquiry about yourself, about humanity, about humans, about the purpose of life, about the about who you are and what you are supposed to do, and all that, the basic needs of the life. So you can have all the understanding through self inquiry. You don't need this information, because people are now creating information and throwing all kind of nonsense, and and, and it is being kind of promoted and marketed to reach a lot of people. And same information, the right information is molded into different forms, different words. I would say it's a war of words. War of word means new terms have been coined, and same thing has been packaged differently with a stamp of a new word, and then they call it something like, I came across nihilism. Nihilism is practiced in Holland. It's about doing nothing. So they create a word, and like mindfulness, law of attraction, law of assumption. So they create so many words. I was giving some podcast interview, and that guy was asking me, have you heard of fractalism, and some different terms. I said, why are you stuck in words? Just get out of these words, different terms. People coin a term and they sell it, and they create a business around it. So the whole motive of the people, 99%, the motive of the people is fame and money. So all this is being happening just to create fame and money and online presence, because from physical presence we have moved to online presence. It's all about online presence, and it's not about physical presence. We should encourage physical presence. I am telling this, but I am myself not able to encourage physical presence in this where I am living, because people are now stuck to online presence. They are all engaged to the screens. So how do I get people out of it? I can't do it. So I live in solitude. I don't go out anywhere. I don't meet people, nor do I spend time online. I am not on social media. I am not on Facebook. I am not actually was not on LinkedIn also, but I had a website for my books, so I switched over to LinkedIn rather than having a website, because I thought, why not have a landing page free of cost on LinkedIn rather than running a website which I have to pay almost $100 a year. So I switched off the website, and I didn't find the website was giving that kind of outcome which I wanted. So I decided to come to LinkedIn just for that reason, not to be present there. And LinkedIn from a professional website platform, it is now actually turned into a social media platform where people are just giving sharing some experiences and advices and all. There are so many coaches, so you don't see what LinkedIn was really for. It's changed into a social media. So if you can cut down, I'm not in any WhatsApp groups. I don't get into any kind of WhatsApp groups. So I have deleted myself from all kind of online social interactions, and I stay in my own world, in my own self, and I do a lot of self inquiry and getting a lot of answers about life, about the cosmic science, about humanity, and I'm creating that content. I create this content just to raise awareness. I would say I'm creating authentic content just to make aware, so that people don't get some direction from where the way the world is moving, and getting digital poison. So I'm only advocating that switch off all the digital, limit your exposure to digital content. You don't need to flood information on a daily basis. You need to focus on your tasks which are there, and live peacefully, and give rest to your brain, and let the brain also be utilized only where it is required. And also for gaining information, it should be slow and gradual. You don't need explosion. Otherwise, what will happen is information paralysis. Explosion will lead to information paralysis, brain paralysis. So you are actually decaptivating your brain. You are basically poisoning your brain. You are actually kind of paralyzing your brain. So think about this, and what impact, what will this brain malfunction will lead to on your body parts, on creating some disease, stress, and all kind of mental deformities. I hope I have made it clear. Thank you.